Welcome back to Mia News. This is Anthony reporting live from New York City, where Americans are coming together in celebration of victory. World War II is over. After years of struggle and sacrifice, today we stand united, not just as a nation, but as a global community celebrating peace. In today's special Mia News broadcast, we'll delve into the pivotal final moments of the war that brought us this victory, and consider the role that America now plays in ensuring a conflict like this is never repeated. Stay with us as we celebrate this victory and look ahead to the promise of a peaceful future. This is Mia News, and our final report on World War II starts now. Welcome back, Americans. Let's review how the Allied powers were able to defeat Nazi Germany and end the war in Europe. In a previous broadcast, we highlighted how Italy's surrender and Allied bombing campaigns weakened Nazi Germany and set the stage for the Allied victory. For a closer look at what happened next, we take you to our European correspondent standing by at the site of one of the most significant events of the war.
Thank you, Anthony. This is Bea reporting live from the beaches of Normandy in northern France, where the Allies launched Operation Overlord, better known as D-Day. Under the command of U.S. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, over 156,000 Allied troops landed here in one of the largest invasions in history. Their goal? To free Western Europe from Nazi occupation on the way to defeating Germany. After braving bullets and barriers on these beaches, the Allies marched into Paris, where they joined forces with French resistance groups and freed France from Nazi control. Viewers, check out this map that shows the Allied forces marching through Europe after the invasion of Normandy. Why do you think the success of D-Day was so significant? D-Day opened up a path for thousands of Allied troops to begin the march to Germany. It was the first major step toward bringing peace and democracy back to Europe. The operation highlighted the resilience and bravery of the Allies and demonstrated the power of international collaboration. With morale boosted, Allied forces continued their march toward Germany. However, their celebratory spirit quickly turned into shock and horror as they encountered Nazi concentration camps, where millions of Jewish people and other groups had been killed or held prisoner by Nazi forces throughout the war. News of this atrocity, which is now being called the Holocaust, shocked the world, highlighting the realities of unchecked totalitarianism. As Allied forces marched on, liberating concentration camps along the way, they finally reached Berlin, the capital city of Nazi Germany. After intense fighting, Nazi Germany was forced to surrender, and the war in Europe was over. This has been Bea with Mia News. Now back to you, Anthony.
Thank you, Becca, for that insightful report. The road to victory in Europe was long and challenging, but through collaboration, courage, and commitment, the Allies emerged victorious, defeating totalitarianism and restoring peace and democracy to Europe. But remember, by this point, the war was only half over. The Allies still had to defeat Japan in the Pacific. We now take a look back at the events that led to the Allied victory over Japan. In a previous broadcast, we introduced U.S. General Douglas MacArthur, commander of the Allied forces in the Pacific. Under his leadership, U.S. forces succeeded in capturing key Japanese-controlled islands as they moved closer to the Japanese mainland, where they planned to launch a final invasion of Tokyo to end the war. For a closer look at what happened next, we take you to our Pacific correspondent standing by in Japan.
Thank you, Anthony. This is Justin reporting live from Okinawa, Japan. In April of 1945, as American forces inched closer to Tokyo, they faced a brutal battle here, resulting in the loss of hundreds of thousands of American and Japanese lives. After hearing about this costly victory, President Harry Truman had a tough decision to make. Back home in the US, scientists had successfully developed a new type of weapon, the atomic bomb. This was the most destructive and powerful weapon the world had ever seen. President Truman had to decide whether to use this weapon on Japan, likely forcing them to surrender, or to continue the Allied invasion of Tokyo, risking more American lives. After careful consideration, Truman authorized the use of 2 atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We're getting reports that over 215,000 Japanese lives were lost as a result of these 2 bombings alone, and countless more will be lost in the aftermath. After the second bombing, Japan surrendered to the Allied powers, and World War II was over. This has been Justin with Mia News. Back to you, Anthony.
Thank you, Justin. Back here in the US, Americans are debating whether Truman made the right choice. Some people think that using the atomic bombs was the right thing to do because it ended the war and prevented more fighting, which could have caused the deaths of thousands more American soldiers. Others think that using the bombs was an immoral decision. Many Americans are angry that the bombs caused so much harm to Japanese cities and resulted in the deaths of countless innocent Japanese citizens. Viewers, what is your initial reaction to these debates? Do you agree with either side? We'll take a closer look at this issue later in the PDF. The debate around the use of atomic bombs underscores the profound cost of war. As we move forward, let's explore how these events are shaping efforts towards global peace and the pursuit of a world where such decisions are no longer necessary. World War II has proved to be a war unlike any the world has ever seen. It claimed the lives of over 70 million people, making it the deadliest conflict in history. In the aftermath, let's see how the victorious Allied powers are working to ensure a war of this scale never happens again. First, a new international organization called the United Nations has been formed, and many nations across the globe are joining it. It's based on the League of Nations, but is much more powerful and includes more members. Viewers, why do you think it's important to have an international organization like this? The United Nations will provide a platform for countries to talk about their problems rather than fighting over them. The goal of this organization is to promote peace and cooperation among nations to prevent another global war. One of the first actions the United Nations is taking to prevent further conflict is holding leaders of the Axis powers accountable for their actions during the war. But rather than punishing them like the League of Nations did in the Treaty of Versailles after World War I, the United Nations is organizing criminal trials to evaluate the actions of these leaders fairly. In the Nuremberg trials, leaders of Nazi Germany are facing consequences for their role in the Holocaust and other atrocities throughout the war. In the Tokyo war crimes trials, leaders of Japan are being held accountable for atrocities like the Bataan Death March. These trials mark a significant moment in history, establishing that individuals, including government leaders, can face consequences for their actions during times of war. These trials are also bringing justice to those who have been impacted by totalitarianism. The realities of the Holocaust and other atrocities throughout the war also inspired the United Nations to create the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This document is like a promise to the world that no matter who you are, where you live, or what you believe, you have certain rights that nobody can take away from you. Viewers, what kind of rights do you think should be included in this document? The Declaration of Human Rights includes things like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to education, and the right to be treated fairly by governments. This declaration is really important because it's the first time countries from all over the world have agreed on the basic rights every person should have. After defeating totalitarian regimes, this is a step in the right direction to create a safer, fairer world. Now it's up to us to ensure we uphold these rights for everyone and keep the world safe for democracy. As our broadcast comes to a close, let's take a moment to appreciate both the triumph and the tremendous sacrifices of World War II. It's important to celebrate the Allied victory and the hope it brings for a more peaceful and democratic world. However, we must also remember the cost at which this victory came. These events have taught us the importance of working together to ensure that the sacrifices of the past fuel our efforts to build a more just and peaceful world. But remember, shaping the future begins with understanding the past.
Hey, hey.